It is 12:59. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans went one and done in the 2021 postseason, falling 19-16 to the Cincinnati Bengals in Nissan Stadium Saturday in the divisional round. Titans sacked Joe Burrow 9 times, tied a playoff record, but 3 interceptions from Ryan Tannehill, too much to overcome, including picks thrown on the first and final pass attempts of the day. It was Evan McPherson's 52-yard field goal at the death to send the Bengals into the AFC Championship. Mike Vrabel met with media earlier today to wrap up the season and discuss what the Titans will be doing moving forward.
I think we're just trying to work through some of the sting of the loss and, get these guys in here today, get them checked out, meet with them. Then John and I will have, discussions and things as we enter into free agencies and players that have contracts that are expiring. What the players' plan are to go and try to improve in the offseason.
Was a wild weekend of divisional round action in the NFL playoffs. The road team won the first 3 games of the weekend by a last-second field goal. The 49ers upset the Packers at Lambeau Field. They will go to the Rams for the NFC Championship, and the Chiefs won a thriller against Buffalo at home. They will host the Bengals in the AFC. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
It's Blaine and Mickey. Hey, how about that? Brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Shout out to FanDuel Sportsbook, the title sponsor of this program. We appreciate them. We appreciate you hanging out with us today, listening to the station, and having been on this station last night with Blaine Bishop and Kevin Dyson for the Lee Company Titans Talkback, the final one of those for the year. Here was my biggest takeaway, Blaine. People are mad. People are mad. I've never in my life seen Titans fans this mad. And I was here in my original run in Nashville when you guys all got here, and here for 99 and here for 2000. I was here for 2008. I did have a window where I was gone away, but all the Titans playoff years I have been around Nashville for. I don't ever remember people being this mad. They're one and done for the second straight year after winning the South. This was a game the defense got 9 sacks. They held the Bengals to 19 points, and literally the last 3 came with no time on the clock. The offense had 3 turnovers. When it became apparent over the course of this game, really the only way you could lose it was by turning the ball over. It's a close game. It's a chess match. If whichever team can hold on to the ball is probably going to win. Bengals held on to the ball. Offense couldn't find rhythm. It had another slow start. In the second half, they had 6 points on 6 first-half drives. They had 4 punts and an interception besides 1 touchdown. Couldn't get 1 yard on a 2-point play. Couldn't get 1 yard on a 3rd down or a 4th down. Tied at 16 on the Bengals 35 in the fourth quarter. A lot of questions for a lot of people. I know you literally started the postgame show last night, just giving some thoughts on that first play on offense. Just from the jump, there were things to shake your head about.
Well, I'll address that. I mean, the timing and the rhythm of the offense, which is always hard to recreate after having time off, is what I put in a big broad brush Russ. Even Henry didn't look better actually in this game than Foreman.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm talking about when I say Russ, and everybody's trying to compare. Oh, in the preseason, well, you're not coming off of an injury and those things, and then go out there and you kind of look good. The defense looked so good because they were so much better than the offensive line, and they're attacking. Mm-hmm. It's attacking. Where on offense, you're kind of countering what the defense is doing. So with all that being said, I was a little disappointed, I guess more than a little bit, in the first play. I actually like the concept of play action past the first play. They max protect the Titans, and they had 7 to block their 6. They did what they call, it was 2 tight ends on one side to make it real easy. They blocked. All right, and then you have your 2 receivers on the other side, Julio and A.J. Brown. And they ran what you call a switch route, which one guy comes inside and the other, so they kind of replace each other. Versus cover 3, just to visualize this now, you got 3 guys going deep on defense. You got 1 guy in the hole. So to me, the play concept is flawed unless you throw it kind of quick. And that means once you clear the guy dropping to the flat, then you can kind of hit him. It's a big, huge hole there. Mm-hmm. Instead of running a deep route and then run the dig. He had no threat to occupy him. They blocked up on one side, so he could drive that. And what you do as a defensive back, and here's taking it to you, the inside of how DBs bait players. He opened his hips like he's going to go deep, protecting that he got to play the deep middle, knowing that the receiver is taught if you turn the hips of the safety, we would then sit down on that play. And so he anticipated that and then drove on it, made a heck of a play. Yeah, it was a great play. But my whole conflict with everything that's involved, you got to have a post behind that to occupy him. Well, this is why I always say, man, it always feels like there's two different people calling the play. Next series, they come back, run the exact same formation, didn't run the switch route. They just left them where they were, had different people. A.J. Brown ran the post. Do you recall missing? He overthrew a post? Yeah, they ran the exact same play, same defense. Bates is beat because they ran the post behind him. He's chasing. He had no shot of getting there. We just missed the target. A.J. Brown ran by the corner, and then he's off to the races. Missed him. So at least they took advantage, but it was the next series. That route concept has to be the same every time. You have to have a dig with a post to occupy and cover three. Everybody knows, even the high school coaches know, if you got cover three, the best thing to do is go 4 verticals. Right. Well, if you left 2 guys in to block, then now you have to hit them where it hurts, whether it's dig or post, or from a dig from one side, post to the backside. However you want to put it, they has to be involved in play. So that's what I was most disappointed about on that first play, not the actual play-action pass, not to hand it to Henry. Sure. I like that, actually. Sure. Because everybody's hyped up, they sucked up, and they did. Yep. They did. They did everything you want them to do, except for the concept of the play. You weren't going to have a lot of success at that. Now, they could have completed the ball. He could have got a PBU. But just the not knowing that you have to occupy the free safety, it's crazy to me that they didn't. And obviously somebody said somewhere they just came back with a different play the next series, and they ran it. And he was open. He just missed him. Yeah. I mean, he missed him. So that kind of is the rhythm flow of the offense. Was just the timing was off a little bit. Even Henry was off a little bit on maybe some of his cuts. Maybe wasn't as quick. So all those things came into play. And eventually 9 sacks really didn't do too much anything. It was funny listening to Vrabel. 9 sacks was kind of incredible. But he said, well, we didn't get the ball. We didn't get turned. I mean, man, whoa, really? Wasn't like they weren't trying. They was trying to knock the ball out. Burrow was just smart enough to say, you know what? We lose this play, but I'll get those yardage back. Mm-hmm. He's just that good. He's a cool customer. So the question for me after leaving the game, and I've been a supporter of Tannehill the whole entire time, I think he has all the things you need as far as ability. When you're looking at the checklist, he's tough. Right. He can throw the deep ball. He's accurate. He can maneuver in the pocket. He has athleticism, get outside the pocket. The one thing that can't be answered, as I said going into the season, is can he put the team on his back when it's tough in the playoffs? Can he do it? And so far, he hasn't been able to do that. That's not to say that he can't. I saw this highlight this weekend, which really kind of opened my eyes, and that is Steve Young. I know a lot of you guys listening probably don't even know, but maybe so. Steve Young, quarterback, right? Well, he took over for Joe Montana, the living legend. It took him 2 seasons in the playoffs of losing, I think, to the Green Bay Packers. And then the 3rd time, he finally got over the snide, following a legend, by the way. Mm-hmm. So then that pressure is there, too. And then finally get over the hump and win it. So this doesn't happen overnight. So I think, the difference between now and then is instant success. Everybody thinks you can get it in one mojo. And who can you get this better, to be honest? That you can actually get this better. Now, you can make some trade and mess up the cap and do all kind of other things if you want to. But, I think you got to ride or die with Tenny, and hopefully he gets over the snide with one more year with this coordinator and with these players, and maybe even some additional players. I don't know whether it's, they're going to have to make some changes, whether it's offensive line help or a tight end help, as you've been mentioning the whole time. But to me, they kind of use Julio like that to me. So, it's always another way to skin a cat, and they just came up short. It wasn't meant to be. I told you that curse of that first round just haunts me. And everybody, well, it's not it doesn't matter if it's the Ravens or not. It's just that time off. You lose a little bit of sharpness, in particular on offense, because it's a timing, rhythm type deal.
Both number 1 seeds lose on Saturday. Packers lose at
Aaron
home
Rodgers.
in a snowstorm to the 49ers.
Yeah. And now, great quarterback. So what excuses are they saying there in Green Bay? He's the best in the business. He's at home. And he hadn't won a Super Bowl since I don't know how long. Right. And he's the best. So I know everybody's emotional, me included, because I think this may be the best team the Titans have had. And in totality, of talking about talent. Just talent. That means they have to come together and play with that talent. But just the accumulation of talent, it may be the best. And, you just come up short. Ball and bounce their way. They just didn't get the breaks that they needed and didn't make the plays. So that's kind of where the cookie crumbles. I mean, so you just try to – I think they deserve one more go-round, one more year to see if they can get it done. I really believe that. And then see if Tannehill can finally get over the snide. And sometimes some parts of it, and that's what I asked Willie McGinnis. I think he took the question wrong. I think he thought I was talking about the defense when I said, can this style, and I thought I said offense, can it win a Super Bowl in today's age? And we watch all the other teams, and I'm not saying throw it around the yard like they were, but we may have to throw more than we are to be successful because this is a quarterback-driven league. It's not a running back-driven league like it was in the let's say mid-'90s, maybe even into the 2000s. But you got to be able to run the football, but not as important as being able to throw it. And it's hard for me to even grasp that because I don't want it to be that way because you keep looking at the teams that win Super Bowls. You go, they got a running offense. Well, Tampa Bay they had a pass rush, but they didn't have a running offense. They could run.
Right.
They ran enough once they got ahead.
But they were throwing it all over the yard.
Right, to get there.
Tom
right.
Brady's throwing for like 5,000 yards.
Really, that's really the question. And does he have the pieces in the puzzle to actually do that? And does Vrabel want to tweak the offense a little bit and do that? That's the whole, that's his motto. He may not want to tweak it. I think it has to be done a little bit. That way you're in a comfort zone as a quarterback that you've done this numerous times. Because if you're asking him to do it when he hardly ever does it during the regular season, you're only throwing 24 times a game.
Right.
That philosophy is great for the regular seasons.
Right.
But when you get in the playoffs, you go, man, do I need to open it up a little bit more? Maybe those running lanes and use vice versa become even bigger. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm not a coach. I'm not watching their film. But this one hurts. It hurt. It hurt. I was numb really all night until the next day. It took me over till I start watching the Bills and Chiefs game before I really got, okay, I can watch football. And the first half, I kind of was watching it, but I wasn't watching it. I wasn't all in. It was just like, man, I can't believe they lost. So I can't imagine the coaching staff, the organization, and the players, how they're feeling right now. It's a numbing feeling like, are you kidding me? This can't be happening. Like, it's over. You're ever putting your stuff in a trash bag right now.
Yeah.
It's like, boom, get out. Time to move. Man, this one hurts. And you know what? It hurts with the fans. So I'm wondering how much the psychology of seeing the Titans get so close so many times, are they just going to be like, when are you going to believe? Do they believe in Tannehill? Do they believe in Vrabel? Do they believe in just the Titans? Can they get over the hump? This is scarring.
I think you made a great point, though, Blaine, about the system. Do they believe in the system? The system can get you a 2,000-yard back. Mm-hmm. The system can literally win a
lot of regular season games.
It can win a lot of regular season games, even with Derrick Henry missing time. And they literally continue the exact same ratio of run to pass, even without Derrick Henry, which showed you they were unwilling to tweak their system even without their best player. Yeah. No, it's who we are. It's what we do. Right. But do you have to, like you said, okay, for 17 games, we're going to throw it 24 times on average. Then can we go to the playoffs, throw it 35 and win? 36 and win? If we had to? Right. Well, right now the stats say no.
Right.
Tannehill has won.
Talk about that.
Tannehill has won 2 playoff games, both in 2019. In those 2 games, the Titans ran for 201 and 217. He passed for 72 yards and 88 yards. He was 8 for 15 and 7 for 14 in those 2 games. When he lost his 3 playoff starts, the Titans ran for 85, 51, and 140. They ran for 140 on Saturday.
Pretty solid.
But they didn't run for 201 or 217.
Right. Well, now you take away the turnovers, which should happen, then you probably say we win the game. But, they happen. So, how can you overcome those things and keep the train moving, man? This one, this was still going to be a tough one to swallow. And I don't know where a lot of changes can actually be made. I mean, some guys are, I know we're going to go through that probably later in the week, but this team, really, the nucleus still going to be here
It's
mostly.
going to be here.
Yeah, I think Ben Jones, Brett Kern. I'm trying to look. I'm just off the top of my head. I'm not even, some of the linebackers. I mean, but man, they still have some valuable pieces, enough to make another run next season. It's just that it's slipping away. You only have so long. But one thing that keeps me, I guess, not from getting sleep at night is that what they did to the defense overnight in an offseason, they can also do it in offense.
Yeah.
Whether you're changing schemes of systems, whether you're bringing in new pieces to stay healthy for a season. So it'll be interesting. And everybody who wants to go after Tannehill, yeah, did he have a good day? No. But I don't think you have a lot of options that you can get. And with the salary cap that you can make that kind of move, really, in reality. We can say he's a solid quarterback, and maybe this is why the national media just never bought in to the Tennessee Titans, especially when the King was down in the playoffs. Can they get it done with Tannehill? I mean, nothing against him, but Burrow is already ahead of him just in who's a better player. That's why that goes on.
Yeah.
Regardless of the record, regardless who you beat, and regardless, it was in the regular season, but can you do it in the playoffs when it counts? When all the marbles, when all the pressure is there, can you get it done?
Well, we're going to discuss this certainly all day and all week and all time coming up. Here's the deal with the show today. Teresa Walker is joining us next. For the rest of this show, this magical 2-hour experience that is Blaine and Mickey, Monday through Friday, we will take phone calls and talk to you. So we have Teresa Walker next. May play some sound from Mike Vrabel over the course of today. Maybe do some of that. But Lucas knows this. We know this. After Teresa, we can roll open phones for the rest of the day. I know you guys have been calling. I know you've been on the lines all day. We want to give you a chance to talk back. We know you're mad. We know you're hurting. And we're just going to therapize and therapeutize. And I'm making up words about therapy, but that's what we're going to do today until 3. It's Blaine and Mickey. Blaine and Mickey, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook here on 104.5 The Zone. Look at Lucas just putting a shiny, happy spin on things with some tears for fears. It's hard to feel bad when you listen to the song. There's like 9 songs in the world that I never get sick of, and this is one of them, Lucas. Thank you for this.
Everybody wants to rule the NFL.
I wonder who wants to rule the Titans' offensive play calling next year. Let's get on that and more. Teresa Walker joins us now from the Associated Press, the Hall of Famer. I know Teresa did something that she normally does in good times and in bad. I saw this picture of a giant pot of chili on your social media timeline, and you always seem to be able to post just the right thing, Teresa, and find the right thing to go to for comfort food. I was jealous.
Well, I also made a stop at Waffle House late.
I saw
Saturday
that too
night when I finally got out of the stadium. So, what can I say? Saturday was a very, very long day, and comfort food. Everybody's been hurting, right? I heard your opening. Everybody's mad, angry, sad, hurt, bitter, just angry right now, and. I feel you. I understand, but calm down, breathe. I know this hurts. There's a reason why we love sports. We get so invested and we're on this ride. And then all of a sudden the adrenaline's gone and it's like, wait, what? I was starting to dream Super Bowl and it's over. And now this franchise has got, it's 22 years without a Super Bowl appearance or since the last one. And that's going to tick over for another year potentially. So that it's hurting. I understand. So hopefully, maybe my pot of chili inspired somebody to go make some for themselves and just sit back and settle for a minute.
It's interesting. I started the show with this, and I said this, and I really believe it. And you've covered all the Titans teams every year. I don't remember fans ever being this mad. Like, I remember some people being mad, but Titans fans are always the bunch who are like, it's okay. We'll get him next year. Gosh, this guy's coming back. I feel good. I've seen less of that and more of just, I am PO'd. I'm mad. I've seen more of that than I've ever seen after a Titans loss in the playoffs.
Well, there was a lot of anger at Al Del Greco after the 2000 loss. I'm just saying, okay?
There was that. Poor Al.
And I remember Al sitting in that locker room, and he waited until it was his turn to come out to the podium and address us and talk about, a very bad day for him. It was a rough day. But, you were tied at 16, 20 seconds left.
Yeah.
You've got the ball. You're driving down the field. Shoot, you had the ball well before the 2-minute warning. And we've seen this. We've seen this team so much, especially since Ryan Tannehill, 13 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter or overtime. It just felt like it was all set up for him to do that yet again in a game where, yes, they'd made mistakes. They'd given up some big plays, way too many field goals. And think about that, 9 sacks. They tied an NFL postseason game record with 9 sacks, led by Jeff Simmons with 3. I mean, it just felt like they were going to go ahead and win. There'd be a AFC championship game in Nashville next Sunday, the first one in franchise history. And, you look around, they beat Buffalo, they beat Kansas City, they beat the Rams. It's like, what's not to feel good about? It feels like, it's like this whole town and this fan base, they went up to that top diving board. And unfortunately, there was no water in the pool.
Oh, man. Teresa Walker hitting us hard here on this Reaction Monday here on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, I guess I'll start with that, Teresa. You talked about the team that I was on with Al Del Greco. I mean, man, where would you rank this loss in Titans history? And I mean, there's some memorable moments, but you would know better than anybody. Where would you rank this one?
Well, I know that recency bias makes us want to say this is the worst because it hurts right now. But 2000, we knew that the winner of that game with the Ravens was going to go win a Super Bowl, and the Ravens did win a Super Bowl. So that one was like the Lombardi Trophy was just yanked out of Nashville's hand. 2008, that one hurt because you had Chris Johnson, you started 10-0, best record in the NFL. And then here come the Ravens again. And I know that fans can imagine the pile where the Ravens were trying to, were yanking on Chris Johnson's leg like it was a chicken bone, trying to break it, the delay of game. But turnovers were the problem in that game as well. And, that's the thing. You can look back and, yet another number one seed, it hurts. But I'll say this, I think it hurt last year as well. Not a number one seed, but had the only difference is not the number one seed, but it was a home playoff game, and the stadium wasn't packed because of the COVID limitations. But, that was a team that you're thinking, we got Derrick Henry. He just ran for 2,000 yards. He seemed unstoppable. And we all remembered his playoff run a year before that. And, so, we're all going to say this hurts the most because it's the one we're feeling now. But those were very, very painful. I don't think you can say it's 1, 2, and 3. It just all hurts. And, the opportunity feels very similar to 2000 and 2008 for sure.
Well, I have to get your thoughts, Teresa, one with Teresa Walker, AP Hall of Fame pro football writer, and that is on what you thought on Derrick Henry actually compared to Foreman in this game.
Derrick had some good runs, but Foreman had the long run, which, the first and goal to 9, if you capitalize on that, never mind. But where has Derrick Henry been at his best? I mean, this is a guy who had not played in nearly 12 weeks, okay? So, you got him out there, you were getting some productive runs, especially, on that run that got him to the 9. I mean, he was ripping off. He had like a 9-yarder and had another 9-yarder in that drive, I think. But Foreman did seem to be maybe the hotter foot maybe in this situation, but, because he's been playing for the last few weeks. So, it's really, as much as Derrick Henry has done, and he's just been fun and amazing to watch since he's moved into the starting lineup, dazzling us with long runs, stiff arms, records, putting himself into that NFL record book. But, maybe the Titans and fans were asking a bit much of him to come in and carry this team to the AFC Championship again, considering what had happened. So, but you know what? They actually outgained the Cincinnati Bengals on Saturday. They ran the ball fairly well. It's going to come down to the fact that turnovers. They had 3 and they only got 1.
Well, I'll let Mickey ask you about the turnovers in Tannehill, but I asked one more question. That is, what were your thoughts in the moment? Because I didn't mind it. I know a lot of people didn't. I know Mickey, he didn't too much care for it. That is going for the 2-point conversion there once you got the penalty and you're on the 1-yard line.
I'll say this. You get the penalty moving you up to the 1. I would have loved to have seen a different play. Maybe, go a little bit wider. I mean, because, again, you're asking Derrick Henry to do that, when he's had a few snaps at that point in a game and to be Derrick Henry. So maybe give the guy a little bit of a hand and maybe, let Tannehill, fake Derrick and have Tannehill go the other way. How many times have we seen him run untouched into the end zone in the last 2.5 seasons? So play call different. I don't mind the aggressiveness so much. I know people say don't chase points early, and it's like you're at the 1. With a team that had more rushing attempts than anyone in the NFL, fifth, and I think it was fifth in rushing, you should be able to get a yard. They also couldn't get that on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter when they turned it on downs. So, maybe a better play call would have helped in that situation. I know it's easy to look back and say coulda, woulda, shoulda, but because, 1 point, they're up 17-16 and just run out the clock there at the end and you've got to win. But different play call. I mean, we've seen Mike Vrabel be aggressive, and that should be no surprise. I know there's the idea you don't chase points early, but, again, you had a penalty on your opponent giving you a chance to move up to the 1. It's tough to – I know we're going to nitpick it, but I don't have a problem with that. The problem is they just didn't get the points.
We're on with AP Hall of Fame pro football writer Teresa Walker.
T, what did you think? And you referenced them. So this is the most run-first bunch in the NFL. They run it, like you said, more than anybody. They couldn't get a yard on a 2-point conversion. Then they had 2 more chances in the fourth quarter, tied at 16 in Cincinnati territory. They needed 1 yard and couldn't get it in 2 plays. What did you think of those 2 play calls?
Would have liked to have seen something different. I mean, I know that what Mike Vrabel said, that they have gotten those in the past. Sure, it's the playoffs. And, how much did we see this season that running to the left behind Saffold and Luan seemed to be a little bit more productive than going off to the right side. That's where I would have liked to just, maybe call that to the left, maybe do a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 1, and then you still always got that in your pocket after that. So, different play call, and I think that would have had a better chance of success.
With that being said, people are kind of pointing at what Mike Vrabel said today when asked about Todd Downing, and he said he's got a good relationship with everybody, and he said a bunch of nice things about him. Mike Vrabel's not going to come out the Monday after a season and go, oh, yeah, we're firing that guy. But let me ask you, would you be surprised, or do you think they might make a change at OC after what happened on Saturday?
I'd like to see a change. I mean, and listening to people who know football better than I do, some of on that the last interception, you had Firkser short, wide open in the middle, but you had like 3 guys going deep on a 3rd and 5. And, it just, some of the schematics, some of the routes that the receivers are running, and I know that injuries were a problem, right? We all remember the New England game where you had Cody Hollister up from the practice squad starting at wide receiver. Now is that something that he can improve on? How much were the injuries all to blame this year? All I know is that in the 1 year that Todd Downing was the coordinator in Oakland, that offense took a drop. And this year the Titans offense took another drop in points and yards, 2 of the big keys. And then, your quarterback doubled up his interceptions and some areas like that. Mike Vrabel did say later that there would be meetings with coaches through the week.
Yeah.
One of the questions I'd like to be asking Todd Downing is, what do we do to make this offense more productive next year? How can we be more creative and try to build on that? And, you're right, Mickey. He's not going to come out Monday, not even 48 hours after that loss. We're closer to, 36 almost when he talked to us at 11 o'clock and say, yeah, I'm firing a guy. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Teresa Walker, our guest from the Associated Press, at Teresa M. Walker, joins us on Blaine and Mickey Talking Titans.
Yes, Teresa, I guess for me, Tannehill, I mean, where are you at with Tannehill now? You've seen 3 years. Where do you think the fan base is, and where do you think the organization is? A 3-in-1 question on Tannehill.
Well, Blaine, the organization is stuck with him. I mean,
Right.
You look at that cap number and his salary, and I don't know how you get out of that. David Copperfield couldn't make that disappear. I know that there's some teams and some front office people. Vin Marino can work the numbers and the salary cap numbers better than anyone. But guess what? You're kind of married to him for one more season, right? So do you maybe upgrade at backup like they did in March of 2019 to push and, try to see if that can help provide some help? Do you give yourself another option at quarterback by upgrading at that position? When asked about upgrading, I think Mike Vrabel said we're always trying to improve the depth of this team, but that certainly couldn't hurt. And right now, I understand everybody's mad, and when you're angry, you're looking. The reason the word scapegoat came to be is everybody put their troubles on one thing and sent the goat out of town. Right now, Ryan Tannehill is Nashville's scapegoat for the Titans' loss. And, and I know that people are mad that, he didn't come talk to y'all today. That we only got one offensive player out of 7 to come out and talk to us during the wrap-up. Guys, we just don't know if – and, Blaine, you remember this. Sometimes guys don't want to talk on wrap-up day. And, it's easier in the locker room to go a different way and avoid us. And when we're talking to people outside, it's even easier to avoid the media.
No doubt about it. Man, we're on with Teresa Walker, AP Hall of Fame Pro Football writer. And I guess lastly, where do you think the psychology of the fan base is now coming back? If everything stays copacetic, let's say mostly quarterbacks back, OC's back, most of the players are back, where do you think they are with the Titans as far as supporting the team?
Well, I'd hope that they don't suddenly say, no, I'm out, because, this team has gotten better, okay? This is the end of Mike Vrabel's 4th season, and we've seen them get better. Yes, 2 years ago they made the run through the road to the AFC Championship game, and now they've had 2 straight home playoff losses. but they did win 11 games in 2020. They won 12 games this year using 91 players. I'm still amazed that they won 12 games using 91 different players this season, an NFL record. So that tells me that the coaching staff does kind of know what they're doing. They had to get those guys ready to go in and play, sometimes on just 3 to 4 days' notice. In Dylan Radin's case, he had a few hours notice that he was starting at left tackle. So the coaching staff is working. This is a young roster. I mean, Jeff Simmons, you're not excited by the fact that he had a career-high 8.5 sacks, 3 in that playoff game. A.J. Brown, a franchise postseason record, 142 yards. And he talked about how he wants to come back and he wants to try to be one of the top 2 receivers in the NFL. There's talent here. You're just not going to win every postseason, and I know it hurts, but if you tap out on this team now, then you're going to miss whatever the ride is next year. And guess what? The roller coaster never stops running.
Teresa, on the way out, this is just a hypothetical question to a writer that I trust your opinion, and I know you've seen a whole lot of everything in your life. Do you think what happened at the end of the Bills and Kansas City game might get the overtime rule changed, at least for the playoffs?
Let's wait and see. I mean, didn't we have this conversation after the Patriots scored a touchdown in overtime at Kansas City in an AFC Championship game? We had the same conversations, and it didn't change, did it? So at this point, I'm going to need to see it happen before I believe it. Guess what? Bills maybe don't kick the kickoff with 13 seconds left through the end zone. So, there was no time that came off the clock there. Now, yes, you might have risked Mecole Hardman taking that ball to the midfield on the kickoff return when you squib it, but guess what? You did not do anything to help yourself in that situation.
Teresa, you always help our situation. We appreciate you and look forward to your Grizzlies coverage and Titans off-season coverage, and more people can always follow you at Teresa M. Walker on Twitter, and they need to be doing that. Thank you, ma'am.
Appreciate it, T.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Hall of Famer right there, person and writer, Teresa Walker. Always love catching up with her. All right, when we come back, the rest of this show, we got open phone, 615-737-1045. You can make it rain on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline.
And also, you can listen to me not comparing Tannehill to Steve Young. The situation of getting over the snide took him 3 different playoff seasons to get over the snide, is what I said, for all those who can't actually hear.
That was to a ding-dong in the Zone TV chat. We'll be right back with your calls. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. You want to sound off, you can jump in the Zone TV chat. It is active today. It is very active. Phone lines also active. As a matter of fact, they are full. I know they have been all day, and here's the thing. We had Teresa booked. Normally we do Ding Dong of the Week in the Monday show, but we're moving our Ding Dong to tomorrow.
Yeah, so you got to hold off on those ding dongs.
So hold off. Tomorrow everybody can share their Ding Dongs with us, but today we just wanted to hear from you. So we'll start. Sean in Houston has been on, jumped in early, and will be on first. Sean, thanks for calling Blaine and Mickey.
Hey, how you guys doing? It's been a while since I talked to y'all. Been a fan since 1976 of this organization. Can y'all hear me?
Wow. Oh, yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Wow, man. Who was that during the Earl Campbell years? What years was
Dan
Campbell?
Pastorini.
Yeah, Earl Campbell. Dan Pastorini was quarterback. All that. That's when all that started. Okay. Come on, Blaine. You know me, man. We friends on Twitter, man.
Right.
But
I know.
yeah. Let me go and tell y'all like this, man. So everybody knew why I feel with Mariota, whatever. Tannehill came in, did a hell of a job, took the position and all that.
They did.
But the simple fact of the matter is, for the last 3 years in the playoffs, Tannehill has showed you who he is. Now, I keep hearing this that, hey, ain't no way they can get from up under that contract and all this and that. Man, I saw last season, during the summertime, somehow the Rams got from under Goff contract and got Stafford. So it's two quarterbacks that's out there that I think would, that's probably going to be available and the money could work. And you know who they are? Russell Wilson or Rodgers. But you're going to have to give up some picks to go that route. But so is that worth it? Would you be willing to do that if you get them behind center?
Wait. Before we even think about doing that, where are they right now?
As far as what? Hey, we're going to play that game?
I know they're better players. They're better players, of course, naturally. But they lost, too, just like Tannehill.
Yeah, they did lose.
We know
but I got this right here for Aaron Rodgers. 22 career playoff games, 100.1 rating, 5,894 yards, 45 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Green Bay, there's lots of different reasons why they lost and this and that, He's the quarterback. He's going to get blamed, like you say. But I know damn sure he ain't thrown no 3 interceptions during the playoff game.
Right.
Come on now.
Okay, no doubt about it. But one more question, though. Do you have to change your style of offense for those type of quarterbacks? Because that's what you have to embrace. This is a run-oriented offense. So you have to, as a coach, if you bring in players like that who throw it, they're actually going to be commanding and actually will want some say-so in the style of offense you run. So do you have to get a little away from Derrick Henry?
But you know what?
Yeah.
AJ, you got Brown. I mean, you actually have the pieces to do what they want to do. Where you can mix it, where you can mix it a little bit better.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes, hey, Tannehill, he did a hell of a job, man. He did. But Tannehill is Tannehill, okay?
All right,
you got
Sean.
these two guys. Hey, don't be like, don't do what you didn't do when you had a chance to go get Brady.
Yeah, all right. We all know I was in for the Brady. That was the only person I wanted over Tannehill. But that's the thing. If you're going to go and do that, even if you can have some cap mobility, you're going to have to embrace it. You're going to be a little bit different than what your style is today. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that's just, you have to know that. If not, those guys aren't going to be happy campers. I mean, you could look at, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they changed the offense to be a little more run-oriented to help them, and they still have gotten the same results. So at the end of the day, I just don't know if the risk-reward. I mean, someone brought this up to me the other day, and it kind of made me think this is somewhat similar. I want to hear what you guys think, especially the listeners. But Alex Smith, kind of when they drafted, now it's not the same draft, coming out with the quarterbacks, but you never know. When Alex Smith, was the quarterback, he was a good quarterback, but he wasn't a special quarterback. And Andy Reid made a tough decision in starting him the last regular season game, which didn't really count. They could win or lose. It didn't matter. And then he started them in the playoffs, actually against the Titans, right, Mickey?
We looked it up. That was the Marcus Mariota throws himself a touchdown.
So it's kind of comparable, but do you have the guy that you notice going to be better in this offense, or if you decide to tweak it a little bit and maybe throw a little bit more to loosen up the offense, kind of sticking with the styles that kind of are winning more. But I'm not saying throw it around the yard because you're not going to have a special quarterback like those guys unless you bring one in. And I just don't think they can maneuver that. Right. All season until the playoffs.
He started the playoff game.
He started last regular season game and then the playoffs against the Titans.
Yeah, 2 games. No. Patrick Mahomes started game 17 and the first round playoff game.
See, I didn't remember. I couldn't remember how they navigated that.
We looked it up in the break.
So you said he started, right?
He started. He may have played, but I'd have to look at the box score, but Patrick Mahomes shows as the starter of that game.
So I don't know if it was the other way around, but that's a tough decision. And so they took a risk even taking him. I think they took him 10th maybe overall or something, wherever it was. But, he showed glimpses of being special.
Oh, Lucas is right. Oh,
Alex Smith started. And
Alex Smith did start the playoff game. You're right. Mahomes started the final regular season game, didn't start the playoff. I was waiting for this to download all the way. I was trying to. Our internet's notoriously slow
but
here.
Did he play in the game at all?
I do not see that he played. Mahomes did not play in that game.
He traded him on the offseason after they lost, and then and then he started them.
Then he started 16 games the next year, and they never looked back.
So that makes sense. Yeah. Right. But you got yeah, I mean, he was pretty good. So, the luck of the draw of you drafting somebody that good at 10 is highly unlikely, but it will make you think about with no second round pick, and maybe you can come up with, a solid, quarterback, not, I don't know, first or third round to kind of manage through and kind of maybe push Tannehill to the tilt to see if he can get over the snide. Sometimes just a little pushing kind of can take you to the limits you never thought you could go to, because to me, I think this is psychological for Tannehill now at this point. I mean, in the big moments, he's just not there. And that's all we actually need to see. We've seen him make comebacks in the regular season, but we can all talk about those things in the regular season, but it doesn't matter till the playoffs. And we haven't seen it.
Well, we can get into all this in more. Hour number 2. We got open phones for the entirety. A lot of people saying, hey, guys, it was Alex Smith. Yes, and we were talking about this in the break, and it took that page that long to download that, yes, it was the box score. It was Alex Smith.
But, I mean, that's comparable, though, to like Tannehill's career is like Alex Smith to me in my mind.
Yeah, and he was blown out after 1 year as soon as they drafted their guy. By the way, we can even tell you top-rated quarterbacks, because the cheapest route, the easiest route would just be take your guy in the first round, because then you're paying him a first-round wage. You'd have him 4 years with an option year. I can tell you coming up, and we'll do that next. I can tell you who the quarterbacks are, top 5 or so draftable quarterbacks. We'll do that in more. Hour number 2 of Blaine Mickey coming up.
It is 2:01. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. It is locker room cleanout day at St. Thomas Sports Park after the Titans fell 19-16 to the Cincinnati Bengals in Nissan Stadium in the NFL's divisional round. Titans sacked Joe Burrow 9 times. That tied a playoff record, but threw 3 interceptions from Ryan Tannehill, and Evan McPherson's 52-yard field goal at the end of regulation sent Cincinnati on through to the AFC Championship. Mike Vrabel spoke to media today for the final time in the 2021 season and discussed what's next.
I think we're just trying to work through some of the sting of the loss and, get these guys in here today, get them checked out, meet with them. Then John and I will have, discussions and things as we enter into free agencies and players that have contracts that are expiring, what the players' plan are to go and try to improve in the offseason.
The attention turns to the offseason as the NFL draft coming up in the final weekend in April. The Titans will hold the number 26 pick in the draft as of right now. Conference championships are set. Kansas City, after winning a thrilling shootout against Buffalo, the Chiefs will host the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC, and it's Rams hosting the 49ers in SoFi Stadium in the NFC. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Hour number 2 of the show. This hour number 2 belongs to you. This show brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Appreciate them and appreciate you hanging out with us today. Started the show talking about this. People are big mad. And Teresa Walker came on, and she's covered every Titans team, and she gave us some perspective. And she said, I certainly remember a lot of people being mad in 2000. People being mad at Al Del Greco, and maybe people's access to social media now. Because in the past, Blaine, you think about it. In 2000, if somebody was mad, they had to get up in the morning, brush their teeth, get up, put on some khakis, drive to work, stand by the coffee maker, and talk about how mad they were. Now you can just lay in bed and crack open Twitter and say, I'm mad, and everybody can see it who wants to see it. Or Facebook. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in 2000, you had to go somewhere and tell people you were mad.
Yes.
Now you can just put it on the internet. I'm mad. Maybe that's why I think people
You know what?
mad.
I'm glad you said that because it reminds me of what most of our players probably think. I don't think anybody in the locker room felt like it was Al Del Greco's fault that we lost.
Right.
I think every player would start saying, what can I do better to get us to win? I need to do better. And I'm sure that's kind of what the Titans are doing. What can they do better? They're not pointing the finger at Tannehill or anybody else who, us, the fans from the outside or the media who's critiquing. That's just where you go. You got, what can I do better to help this team be better? It just wasn't our time. I mean, nobody's pointing the finger because every time you point the finger as an athlete, different than when you're a fan base, is you better point that finger right back at yourself.
Yeah.
Because you need to do better. Because as soon as you start doing that, then it will be your fault. Better make sure you handle your own business. And it's a team, it's a unit, and we all know some guys are going to have good days and bad days, and you're just hoping that you have more good than bad, and then hopefully, Tannehill can get over the snide. And it brings me to what I was talking about there is sometimes it takes a couple losses in major critical situations to get over it. Then you finally get over the hurdle to then be able to be successful in the playoffs. And referencing Tannehill with the Titans, because he's had now, 2 years in a row? Is it with 3? Well, I just say 2 as the guy from beginning to end, and where you feel like he should have played better. Could be 3, but so you can't give up on him, but you got to say, what are our options? And a lot of people were like, well, there's a lot of options. Well, there's not a lot of options with the way the cap is set up. And you want to believe in a guy. You're just not going to jump ship. You got to give them, I feel like they have to give them one more go-round, at least one more year with this group, the nucleus group of seeing if they can get it done. Because they're not that far. They're right there. They're right there. So don't push the panic button and do something crazy unless you can get some elite level quarterback.
Right.
And if the possibility of that is highly unlikely. Now, you can groom a quarterback, but then you're talking about he has to go through those, pelts in the wounds, to really be successful unless you get, a Burrow, Herbert type player in this year's draft. And I don't think any of those guys are coming out this year are kind of like that. But what would the Titans have, the 26th pick?
Yeah, they have to pick 26. Here's the top 5 quarterbacks. This was Mel Kiper. I looked last night because I knew we'd talk about it. Kenny Pickett, Malik Ward, the guy from Liberty, Matt Corral, who is injured, so it fits the draft profile.
But what is the actual injury? I never saw that come out.
Desmond Ridder and Sam Howell. That's
Ridder from Cincinnati.
That's the top 5.
Sam
Howell, North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
So Pickett probably gone. Malik Ward would be gone. Matt Corral he did get injured in the last game. Does he drop because of that? I don't know. Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati. I mean, does that turn your switches and flip your buttons and
no.
And then Sam Howell from North Carolina. So the easiest and most economical thing is just draft a guy. Just draft him. Then you pay him his rookie wage and you don't have to move heaven and earth. Now, let's say that somebody down there thinks Malik Ward. Let's say somebody down there at Scout was like, guys, Malik Ward is the guy. Like that's the next Mahomes. It's Malik Ward. That's our guy. Okay. Well, you don't have a second round pick to make trades with. So
unless you trade to get the second round.
Coming
in, after.
So you traded your second round pick to get Julio. So you have a first round pick, no second round pick. They've got a third. They've got a fourth. I think there's a projection. Maybe they have a comp pick, maybe fourth round pick coming. So they got some more picks later. They've got like 6 or 7 picks total in the draft. So do you want to mortgage another number one? Let's just say, again, I'm just saying Malik Ward because maybe he'd be going around pick 15 or so. Because people always kind of move up earlier for quarterbacks. So Pickett, maybe he goes 10 or so. Maybe Malik Ward goes 12. I don't know. Would you be willing to sacrifice another, like next year's number one, and then some other capital to move up the, let's say, 10 or 11 spots to get Malik Ward or Matt Corral?
Is the guy.
Yeah.
Probably for me, no, personally.
Okay.
No. Not me, but I mean, some people, it depends. I'm not evaluating those guys on a game-to-game basis. And then, I'm starting to look at them when they get to the Senior Bowl and things like that to see how they look on the same field. That's what the whole point is, to kind of separate yourself from the other guys, who's more of a leader and those things. So maybe you go your plan of attack. I like your idea. I just think it's highly unlikely you're going to get a dude. You can groom a guy with the 26th pick trying to stay ahead of the game. Why don't you do the same thing you did to get Tannehill? Find another starter guy who the organization's like, we've turned the page. I think it's time us to move on. Go in a different direction. I don't even know if there's a guy out there like that. But I would be leaning more towards that because, just in case something happened to Tannehill.
Well, the guy who's a free agent that can make any throw in God's earth is Jameis Winston. He's a free agent. I'm not trying to break the internet in Nashville, but you don't have any trade capital. So look at who's a free
coming
agent?
off an ACL, but
hey man, Joe Burrow's coming off ACL. He looked pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's Joe Burrow. He didn't throw for the most touchdowns and the most interceptions in this season.
He's 40-40 club.
Now
30-30. 30-30. Sorry,
Vrabel would lose all his hair with Jameis Winston.
It's a good thing lines are loaded because I think the lines would be popping off right now after you said that.
I think
it's my job to make people think. Does that make people think?
Well, Vrabel would be thinking so much he'd be losing his hair, man. He'd have no hair. He has some nice hair up there.
I just want to see his workouts more than anything. Where he's got like a towel and he's like holding the towel. Like I would just want him here for the workout.
Like a video from the rooftop at Tootsie's or something.
So they traded for Tannehill. So is there some they trade him and the Dolphins ate part of his salary to get rid of him.
Maybe a guy out there. I don't know, but Vrabel found him.
They did.
So you just never know. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying.
What comes around goes around.
It's a $57 million dead cap hit for Tannehill, and it's like 38 cap hit just for him being on the team. So you don't have a second round pick. You don't have much draft capital to throw around. They're near the bottom in salary cap room. I think they've got $10 million or something right now in salary cap room. We looked at this.
They can reduce some guys
a couple of weeks ago. I looked this up, and I'm not trying to get rid of anybody, but I'm just saying this. Based on keep them or cut them, the numbers for Lawan, Saffold, and Jackrabbit add up to $30 million. Their dead cap versus what you would save to cut them. I did the math this morning. It's $30.4 million that you could gain by not having those three guys, unless they restructure or do something else. In their current contract state, taking those three contracts off the book, and those are all good players. If you take those three contracts in their current state off the books, that's $30.4 million, give or take like a penny here or there. $30.4 million.
Well, I would have my B plan, but I would try to approach those guys. Let it go on Ben Jones, I think, is a free agent. I may be wrong on that.
The big free agents are Ben Jones and Harold Landry.
Right. So.
And then who needs to get paid next year, because that's the last year of their contract? A.J. Brown and Grande Jeff. Large Jeff.
Yeah. Kong.
Yeah.
King
and Kong.
So, that's tough there, man. I'd be real nice and cozy with some of those agents, man, and say, hey, man, we want to make a little run, man. How about, hey, we bring him back at a less salary. What are you thinking?
Those kind of talks you're going to have with some people.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have unlimited money. And like I said,
that's with the cap going up, right?
We looked a couple of weeks ago, yes, and I'd have to look again. But the Titans were like in the bottom half of the league in cap space. There are a bunch of teams like the Packers who are like negative X amount of million. Titans weren't negative, but
I could say this: I'm just lukewarm on Jackrabbit, but I do like his skill set in that I'm not sure what the first rounder can give me going into next year after having ACL surgery and then having back and then another ACL the year before that in college. So I want a security blanket there. That one there is a tough one for me. And his salary, it's like, to be honest, for starting NFL cornerback, he's right around $7 million or so.
It's 10 to keep him. It's set.
What is it?
His dead cap is $10 million. I'm sorry, his dead cap is 3, and his cap hit is 10.
Oh.
So you save 7 if you cut Jackrabbit. But 10 isn't his salary. It's less than that, but that's his cap hit. Yeah.
I'm looking at his salary, but that's what so it's just that's a tough one for me, especially if he becomes, maybe a backup to Farley. I don't know where Farley's at, and you got to put him out there from beginning to end at this point in time. But you don't know. You don't know how he's progressing with his ACL and, where is his back and all those things. So you're out on the limb on getting another veteran guy to make you, hang on to like Buster Screen. I mean, he's a free agent, I'm assuming. Yeah. So do you bring a guy back like that? I would.
I mean,
I would bring back Foreman. I mean, it's just
I'm
me.
I'm going to bring back Foreman. I'd go sign him something right now. But here's the thing. They drafted a tackle. Panda didn't work out. That should be your tackle solution. You drafted a guy in the first round. He's gone. And your guard solution should be Dylan Radins, who hardly played this year.
He didn't dress, I meant to say.
He didn't dress. Yeah.
This game.
In the final game of the year.
Yeah, I heard Vrabel talking about him a little bit, saying that, he needs to get better in all
pad
phases.
level and stronger.
Stronger, yeah.
I heard it.
Oh, my. That was today.
Now, somebody said that about me. I'm a football player, got to get stronger. Basic things. Like things just like, wow, my coach. Because Vrabel doesn't always give super detailed answers, got to play better, coach better. He gave a fairly detailed answer about Dylan Radins today.
Yeah, he just basically said that he's an FCS player and he's not quite up to snuff yet for the NFL. That's kind of what I'm reading between the lines. I'm like, man, we had a whole season and he didn't dress. He should have been doing nothing but getting stronger. And I'm sure he was, and he was working on all those techniques. So I think he's better than we think, because every time I watched him play, I really didn't see anything glaring like, oh my God, he can't play. So obviously he is going to be a solid player, just not quite there yet with them trusting him. But when they had to trust him, they had no choice to put him out there. He did fairly decent in my mind. I can build on that. I can work with that.
I think that rascal's going to be out there
so
next year.
I thought he did okay. I mean, I'm not going to get, I gave him a C. Hey, that was passing grade.
He's going to show up his report card signed by his parents next year, and I think he's going to have to be a starter on this team. He has to. They just don't have money. All right, we got to take a break. I know open phones. We will go straight to the phones when we come back. All next on Blaine and Mickey. All right, let's roll. Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone. You've been sticking with us and staying with us. It's time for us to roll it out. Open lines. Phone lines are actually all packed right now. So as soon as somebody drops off, you can jump on. Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline is hot. And Zoe and the ATL is going to lead us off as we take your phone calls. Hey, Zoe, how you hanging in there?
I'm doing all right, man. How about yourself, man?
And I'm doing all right.
Hanging in there.
Yeah, man. Going back to answer Blaine's question real quick before I make my point about if we happen to get somebody else in there, I think they'll be able to adjust because the NFL knows that Derrick Henry is the best running back in the league, so they know that you got to stop him. So you'll have easier coverage and everything, and the weapons that we have also. And also with the thing with Tannehill, I've been off him since we lost an AFC Championship game because I saw his potential there. And the thing that really irritated me was when PK asked him, like, what do you need to do to lead us to a championship? And he responded back with, we have to do this and we have to do that. Like, if you're the franchise guy, you got to take accountability and be like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I have to do this. I have to do that. So that right there showed me that he's not built to be what we want him to be. But y'all have a blessed one, man.
Thank you, Zoe.
Interesting. It's hard to disagree with what he just said there he should have said I need instead of we need. That's basically saying it wasn't just me, it's we. And ultimately, whether that's true or not, he has to say I.
You got to eat that
you got it, yeah.
poo sandwich.
Yeah. Yep, you got to. That's part of actually really having a $30 million salary.
Yeah.
That you got to take that. They're no different than the head coach. Yeah, you got to.
Let's get, a call from Vegas.
Great call.
William checking in, rolling the dice in Vegas. What's going on, William?
Hey, I've just two quick things. I've been Oilers Titans fan since 1978, 44 years, and I just just treat them like my ex-wife. They always let you down. So just gotta.
I hope her lawyer's not listening, William.
Don't be listening to that, Lucas, man. You're not married yet, man. It's okay, man.
Another thing is that we got to look at the real problem. I believe is his name says it all. Todd Downing. Downing brings down the quarterback. If you look at 2017, Carr went down. He doubled his interceptions and his points went down like eight points per game. And this year, Titans points per game went down about 6. And Tannehill's interceptions doubled. So if you look at the preseason, he had trouble with interceptions at the very beginning of preseason. So I think that's something with the coordinator just throwing him off.
William, thank you for the call. It's interesting he said that because a lot of people just kind of poo-pooed the preseason turnovers. Like he was turning over in practice.
Oh, no, remember, I kept on saying
and I was going to say, you were like, no, man, that doesn't just go away. If there's a problem, there's a problem. People are like, oh, it won't linger into the regular season.
Well, the only reason why I kept saying that is because he hadn't done that in the past 2 preseason games.
Right.
So I'm like, well, something's different. And
previous 3 years for him, 9 interceptions, 6 interceptions, 7 interceptions. So he had 13 in his Titans career so far. He had 6 and 7. This year he had 14. He more than doubled, or he more than 13
doubled his last 3 years.
13 in 2 years, 14 in 1 year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if that comes with now that he's arrived and is the guy, now he's pressing to make plays. And some of it is because he didn't have his guys out there, too. We cannot forget that. Change of OC, which you need to make the adjustment. He was on the staff, so a lot of things were somewhat similar. Wasn't like they canned the offensive, game plans or anything like that. So that wasn't that big of a deal. It's just a cause and flow. But you can navigate through that when you're a quarterback throughout the week on things that you like and don't like.
Right.
And Downing seems like a guy that's kind of flexible. He doesn't seem like, I don't know what he is behind closed doors, but publicly I feel like, hey, if you don't like it or if you don't feel comfortable with it, we won't do it.
Right.
Regardless if you like it or not. And so Tannehill just didn't have a good season overall, but good enough to win 12 games. So then you say, what are you judged on as a quarterback? Your wins and losses, or if actually you had a good season looking at your stats.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, it's about wins and losses.
Yeah. Have they reached a point, though, where it's now wins and losses in the postseason?
Yep.
Because they won
That's where we're
11, and then they won 12. They won the South twice.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's 0 for his last 2 in the playoffs. Yeah.
And that's where we're at. Can he get us over the snide? And that's where I was bringing up some other elite quarterback, not necessarily Tannehill, but it's hard to get over the snide. Or do you move on and roll the dice? Well, you have to have the pieces in place.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I compared them to Alex Smith, is that they had, Mahomes sitting there on the bench that they had just drafted that season. So obviously they knew something, but they didn't want to move forward. They want to give him one more year to say, if not, then we're going to groom this cat the whole time during the season. If you don't get it done, we got to move forward. Because that was a big move.
Yeah, it was.
So, and I'm sure everybody was like, we don't need a quarterback. Well, they might have been saying a quarterback, maybe not that high, though.
Yeah.
10th, because he was 10th overall?
Around there. I know we've had this discussion before.
Top,
Lucas is moving towards the microphone. Was he 12?
Yeah.
Mahomes was, I think fell even further than that.
Did he?
Because Mike Herndon pointed it out on Twitter, Mike Miracles on Twitter, that was a quote unquote weak quarterback class.
Right.
With Deshaun Watson and Mitchell Trubisky and Pat
was
Mahomes.
10th.
He was 10th.
He was 10th.
Okay. I thought he was later than that, 15, 17 range.
Maybe it just seemed like that because he was a quarterback.
Yeah, when he's taken after Trubisky.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
and that's
boy.
the issue. He
Yikes.
went behind Trubisky. We're like, whoa. So, yeah.
2017.
Because they moved up to get him.
Mitch
Yeah,
Trubisky.
but he was just the kid with the
second.
big arm, raw
right.
talent. Nobody was looking at him in
Like
this
that.
context at all.
And he developed really fast under a kind of somewhat of a guru offensive mind in Andy Reid.
Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 picks after him was Deshaun Watson, which what in the world is ever going to get resolved with that deal. But yeah, as you were saying, a quarterback class at the time, people had questions about. Mitch Trubisky went 2nd overall.
That's crazy.
Patrick Mahomes
After
goes.
starting 1 year at North
That
Carolina.
was
year,
when
8
that
and
was
4.
when Corey Davis went 5th overall
Yeah.
to the Tennessee Titans. Patrick Mahomes goes 10th. Deshaun Watson 12th in that draft.
And that was a weak.
T.J. Watt 30th. That turned out to be a pretty good grab by Pittsburgh.
That was a weak wide receiver class too, because Corey Davis
That's why he
turned
went so
out to
high.
probably have the best career out of any of the other guys receivers drafted.
Well, Mike Williams and John Ross
Yeah.
went within the next 3 picks. Those 2 guys. Once they took Corey, that started the run. People were like, okay, there's like 3 guys with a high draft grade. We got to get them if we're getting them. Let's get our man Bam, our drummer buddy. Bam, what's going on, buddy?
How you feeling, bro?
Well, I mean, be honest, been better on some Mondays. How
Good,
about you?
considering the situation.
I don't know how to feel. I feel like I just can't explain it. I got this love-hate thing. Mickey, but did I make your day a little bit, Mickey? Just a little bit?
Yeah, Bam may have been sending me some messages. He's trying to hotline a top free agent here. He's got some musical connections.
Who you got? You got some music?
But let's just say some quarterbacks have musical wives that maybe a drummer might know.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Maybe
Yeah,
that
that's
drummer.
all. But more importantly, look, this is what I wanted to talk about, man. I wanted to talk about I was at the game Saturday. And first off, I'm going to tell you why it was so devastating. It was devastating for a few reasons. But one, if you was there and you felt the energy in that room when Derrick Henry came out, man, it was like literally you could feel the building shaking, man. It was amazing, man. You know what I'm saying? And then for Tannehill for Todd Downing and Tannehill, I'm going to say both of them. To really kind of jack that game like that, man, it was like, bro, come on, this just ain't real. Now nobody knows the future of where things are going. You know, this window that we have is very small. Julio on his last leg. We trying to keep AJ healthy. We trying to get Henry. You know, it's like this was a rare thing. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like Todd needs to go. And I feel like I feel like J-Rob, like he brought Julio in to win now. So I feel like if J-Rob want a fighting chance to win, you know, like both Marcus and Ryan are both lovable guys. You love their spirits, you love their personalities. But if they just can't get it done, you just can't get it done. Sometimes you got to get a cold-blooded assassin who don't care, who just get it done. Like we saw the difference with the defense this year. When Bud and them came in, they came in with like these mentalities. They came in with these attitudes. And it's like that good, nice guy ain't going to cut it, man. I say we go get Watson. I say we get Wilson in here. And I say we go to the Super Bowl next year, man. Like, I don't know, man.
Deshaun
I'm
Watson?
still stressed about that.
So he's saying bring both of them or just one of those guys?
He's gone. He racked himself.
You know what? There's part of me, I do agree with them about the assassin part. That's why we were just talking about on the break, was just talking about, the Mamba mentality, the Michael Jordan mentality, just those mentalities of those alpha dogs. Then now there's come something with that, but also you get victories and that they believe that nobody's going to stop them. And they're fearless in the biggest moments of all time. I mean, so that's the type of guy you got. Is he that guy? Or can you manage around that? And that's what tells you if he can be the guy. But, man, this is a window right here. I thought it'd be 3 years, and this is coming close. This is close, and I really believe you still got to get one more year, man. You got to get one more. But most of the time, GMs and organizations try to stay a year ahead of time. So can you patchwork and fix this based off the cap numbers? And I think that means Tannehill has to be here unless, you got a trade partner.
Well, their offseason moves this year for defense said, it ain't us, it's them, the players.
Yeah.
So what they do? They changed a bunch of stuff. And I kind of brought this up a couple of weeks ago on the show, like, hey, man, if this thing crashes and burns offensively, if they don't have the counterpunch again in the playoffs and they bow out, could we see that same, like, it's not us, it's you, we're changing you? And it kind of fell like on deaf ears and nobody, but here we are. I mean, I brought this up a couple of weeks ago. Because you could make changes on offensive line. Here's the thing they've never had, not in a long time. Or if it is, maybe you could tell me who it was. They don't have that joystick offensive player. They don't have that guy. They keep trying to throw those little tunnel screens to Chester Rogers, which got their butts in trouble.
We got tipped to it. But they've never had that guy, though.
Right.
They've never had that guy.
But why wouldn't you try to find that guy? It seems like every year they don't go and get that just crazy. And I'm not going to say Tyreek Hill because God only made one.
Right.
But that type of player.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this. Who's the guy that on the Bills? Who is that guy on the Bengals? See, nobody has a guy because that guy actually don't really work. and I mean, you get, he can move the chains. Tyreek Hill's off the chart.
Right.
He's an outlier.
Just a fast, super fast guy.
It's a lot of fast guys.
Now, here's the thing about Hill is he's straight line fast and he's stop and go fast.
Well, here's what I would go for more of, a guy like Chase. Jamar Chase.
Oh,
that
yes.
guy, he can run routes. He's fast. He's durable. He can run short routes, long routes, flare pass, what you're talking about. He can do all those things. But he's not a jitterbug guy. He's a football, I'm going to make you miss, get vertical.
Yeah.
Guy. That's what you want in the National Football League because everybody's fast.
Yeah.
See, so the lateral guy that is running around crazy in college, most of those guys are just good punt returners and slot receiver guy.
Rondale Moore, that kind of guy.
Man, I told you, he's not going to be a superstar guy in this league like that. And he hasn't shown it. He's just another good small receiver. He's another Adam Humphries, if you want to give him that. Yeah. I mean, I don't even, or maybe he's a little bit better than that. But, I mean, that's what you're going to get. So I don't think in this offense now, maybe in this offense, maybe you can get a guy like that. I mean, Chester Rogers is probably he's average, solid to do those things. That's why he's a punt returner. Most of those guys have this jitterbug about them. But there's a lot of those guys aren't successful in this league because you don't play lateral in this league. You play vertical.
Yeah.
And the league has changed to vertical. And, outside linebackers chasing that guy down because he has there to the sideline to get you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. How many of those guys are? And you just think, did you see them throw a bubble screen to Tyreek Hill? They might have had one set up, but he made his money running routes.
Right.
And then caught it in his acceleration is just off the Richter scale. And so when you look at film, you can't say, well, we got to get that guy. That's, everybody, we got to get to it. Well, how many? There are no Tyreek Hills. There aren't guys out there like that. He's one of the few. Guess who the other guy, though, is? Nobody talks about it. He's almost as explosive. Heidemann.
Mecole Hardman.
Hardman, the number 17 from Georgia. He was number 4. I remember him there. I said, that guy's different.
Yeah.
His burst is different than everybody else's.
Yep.
And he still continued in this league.
And they have 2 of those guys.
Right. And I was like, why did they draft him? They didn't even need him. Just in case Tyreek Hill get hurt.
Yeah. But to have that guy with just explosive speed.
Yeah.
Explosive.
Right. Yeah. It just, you want that guy. Maybe you want more of that guy is what you're referring to than kind of the jitterbug, because that's only, you make one guy miss, then you get vertical in the National Football League. You can't, run in a circle. That just.
Well, and he can do that. And he did it last night and literally waved at a guy who had the angle on him, but he knew he would even beat him to the end zone. He's so fast.
That was unreal. That was
he
unreal.
waved to a guy who was ahead of him.
The peace sign.
That guy was.
oh, by the way, according to the rules, that's a penalty.
It's your. I said that to my wife.
They
We were
didn't call
watching.
it. They didn't call it.
I'm glad they didn't call that.
I was
they
waiting
didn't
for
call
the
it.
flag when he did that because that was the whole point of emphasis in the offseason.
You could not do that, and he did that.
He got it on his glove because of that. He got the peace sign like painted on his glove so he could put his so he could put his hand up and it still show a peace sign.
Remember, and that's what the Winfield Jr. did to him after he did the backflip against him the time before.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm up for paying attention to this guy. So, man,
Explosive top end speed.
It's just unreal. And he has both, Mickey, that you're talking about. Lateral quicks of the highest level and vertical speed at the highest level. I mean, he looked like he had springs in his feet one time when he made a guy miss. He jumped backwards like he hopped.
Oh, I saw it.
Boom. And I was like, oh, my gosh. Does he have springs in his cleats? My wife looked at me and like, man, that was pretty awesome, man. It looked like we had to jump and go.
And he's doing that against literally the best athletes in the world.
Elite athletes.
Right.
Elite football player. He's off the charts, man. I love to, go see his workout. I mean, and he probably doing just what everybody else is doing. He's just that kind of guy.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I said I know there's only one of him, but that explosive guy who can make one move and just go straight to the house.
I got you. Yeah. Please do. Cam Bassett. No, Cam Bassett is not up to Ricky. Sorry.
Honestly, the fastest guy on the team this year is probably Marcus Johnson, where he
Yes.
could run. Where he could run that transcontinental route, and there was one play where Tano just threw it to him, and he just then outran everybody to the goal line.
He definitely has some vertical speed to him, no doubt. But he's not the I'm gonna make a guy miss. But,
No. Which
they don't have. To your point, though, Mickey, they don't have a guy. And I don't know if they've ever really had the guy like that. Even Derek Mason, who could make guys miss, wasn't for whatever reason, he wasn't a vertical threat, even though he was beating people vertical.
right.
That was through his great route running, his knowledge of the game, his acumen as a football player. But he can make people miss on punt returns, kick returns. So he had a little element to him like that after the catch. But, we're talking about different eras, man. Whew, I don't know if they really ever had a guy like that. The only guy I can say the Titans had that's like that, he didn't even play wide receiver. He played running back.
CJ2K.
Yep, CJ2K. Yeah, that guy. You go, dude. As soon as he touches, you think he's scoring.
It would sound like a jet taking off when he started to run because the crowd would go, you could just hear it.
And while they're doing that, and I'm standing up out my seat.
All right, Lucas says we got one more break. We'll take our break when we come back. Phone lines are still loaded, and I have one final Tannehill stat for Blaine and Lucas. It's going to make them sad. It's coming up. Blaine and Mickey 104.5 The Zone, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Thanks to them for title sponsoring the show. Thanks to all of you. Unbelievable participation today in the Zone TV chat and on the phones. And I know it's been that way all day, and it's going to be that way during the 3HL. They love taking your calls on a Monday, so they'll keep doing that as well. I do have a stat for Blaine and Lucas because I got real curious because it's like you start looking at some of the quarterbacks, and you got Mahomes and Brady, and you got Aaron Rodgers, and you got just all these quarterbacks, and Matthew Stafford is finally getting his chance on a team outside of Detroit. So I thought, I just wonder how many interceptions everybody threw on divisional weekend. Every quarterback that played, 8 quarterbacks. Do you guys know the other 7 besides Tannehill, the total number of interceptions thrown by the other 7 quarterbacks who played on Saturday and Sunday?
I'm going to say
Man. Oh, my.
3.
Damn, my headphones went out. What did Lucas say?
He said 3.
Oh, crap. I didn't see anybody throwing any interceptions but Tannehill. But I'm just saying. I didn't say. I don't recall other guys that I watched, but I wasn't all in watching every move of the game. But I'm gonna go with 0 because I didn't see any. That's what I saw.
Tannehill threw 3. The other 7 quarterbacks threw a combined 3 interceptions.
Did they?
Burrow threw 1. We all saw it.
Right.
Oh, how could I forget? Oh, yeah.
Forgot about the money hooker.
Jimmy G threw 1.
Of course.
Because and Brady threw 1. That was it. So Tannehill threw 3.
Right. Brady threw the 33 Scott.
Tannehill threw 3. Every other quarterback who played on the divisional round weekend combined for the same number of interceptions.
Yeah.
We
should have took a picture of Lucas's face when you said that.
That may be the thing that hit me the hardest because that's when you need your guy to play the best is right now. And they combined for 3. 7 guys combined for 3, and you got 3 over here on the Cumberland coastline on Saturday. That just hit me in a different way. Because I was so down, but I still watched the rest of those games, and I kept thinking, God, nobody's throwing interceptions. This is so weird.
So
3.
4 of the 6 total interceptions thrown over the weekend were right across the river there.
Yeah, 4 of 6.
Hello?
4 of 18 teams who've had the number 1 seed since 2013 lost the divisional game. 4 of 18. 2 of them were this weekend. So it was 2 of 16. Both lost it this weekend. That tells you how rare that is that happens.
That's a great stat. Too.
Get back. I'm Mr. Stats.
Yeah. My headphones isn't working, so can you repeat what the caller says?
Yeah, we'll do that. I don't know what's going on over there. Tony the Stud jumping in next on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Hey, Tony.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, man.
Appreciate y'all having me out here on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. What a wonderful year for the Titans it was. I do want to say 12 wins. We haven't seen that, and since I was a little kid, So, as a Titans fan, this is extremely disappointing. Blaine, I'm so disappointed. Mickey, I'm so disappointed. I'm hurt. There's a hurt when you lose a football game in the regular season. There's a different hurt when you lose in the playoffs, and I just felt like Tennessee. If I tried my best to take the fan side out of everything and just look at this team and the resiliency and the amount of things that they had got through, record 9 players there on the field to get the number 1 seed and then lose to, that first round and get to the Bengals. Cousin Danny in the Burrow, that boy, I love that boy. He's a good dude, man. I'm real happy for him and his team. There's a lot of Titans fans.
And his connection just gave out.
Oh, that's kind of like how my headphones are going out.
Like a lot of people's hearts have given out.
Oh, man.
His connection just couldn't
painful.
support the pain.
It's, man, I don't even know if I can translate how we all felt. And I'm sure that's how some of the guys, it hurts. So, it's almost like it hurts your soul. Oh, man. And it will scar you. I'm telling you, the rest of your life. You never forget it. It's just, and it didn't really, ours was the Ravens, but it wasn't just about the Ravens. It was just that we lost and we knew we were a great team. So it's about more the loss and the pain that you feel with. Man, it's almost I don't know. I don't even want to translate it to something crazy, but man, it's like you lost your soul or something. It's really painful. It took me a couple weeks to get over that, and I felt a little bit of that yesterday and in the weekend. As I said, I couldn't really watch the games. I was watching them, but I was just numb. Like, man, I feel like I'm still part of the organization because I know how good this team was, and it's just, oh man, it hurts. So I can't imagine. I'm probably nowhere near what the organization and the players and coaches are feeling right now.
I think we got time. Maybe we can get one, maybe two more. Brian in Nashville next up. Brian, thank you for calling.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. Hey, man, we're low on time. What you got, brother?
I got a question. Everybody's saying get rid of Downing. Everybody's saying get rid of Tannehill, and this and this that. Do y'all not realize y'all won 12 games this year with that quarterback, with that coach? You can't win everything. I don't understand the expectation was high. Do you put into consideration Vrabel messed up the clock? Do you fire him just because he messed up one game?
No, Brian. Hey, nobody's saying fire Mike Vrabel. Nobody's saying that. And nobody's saying overhaul the whole roster. But there is talk because they have free agents and they have some decisions they got to make. Is what it comes down to. But nobody's wanting to fire Mike Vrabel.
Oh, he's probably listening to other people. You didn't hear us say
Yeah,
that.
no. One final, Eric in Nashville. Let's finish up with our buddy Eric. Eric, how you doing, buddy?
The time I'll be real brief because I'm not going to have time to get into what I wanted to get to, so I'll get to it on the next show on the Dawn and thing. But here's the thing, guys. I think what really frustrates Titans fans, like you said, you were talking about earlier, the fact is that we had 3 minutes to go in the game. Whether we should rush or not, I don't know. But the fact is we turned the ball over. Patrick Mahomes had 13 seconds, gets down to the field. They kick a field goal, goes overtime, he wins. He's going to his fourth straight AFC Championship game, potentially third straight Super Bowl. I mean, Rand Tannehill, probably above average quarterback, okay, but Patrick Mahomes is elite. He's special. He's a difference maker. He is just like, he's balling. And, that definitely tells the thing, wins and losses. And also, they've got a great coach in Andy Reid and a great offensive coordinator in Bieniemy. Not saying that Mike Vrabel is not a good coach, he is, but those type of difference makers that you need because he has confidence we're going to do it. And they come through in the clutch. Whereas, and this national playoffs, we so far haven't done it until then it's just not going to change. That's the national narrative. We're good enough during the regular season, but can't get it done. And until we do that, we're never going to get the respect we want. So,
Eric, thank you, man. Thank you, brother. We got to go. As Brett Batchelor, our buddy who works down the hall, pointed out earlier, Mahomes needed less time to get down the field for that field goal than Dak took on the one draw play at the end of the Cowboys loss.
Dak Prescott.
14 versus 13 seconds. 3HL coming up next. They'll continue the therapy. Hold if you're on hold. They'll get to you. And we'll see you tomorrow. Try to take some deep breaths, everybody.
Yeah, it will get over it. Sometimes you got to go through tough times to get to the good times.
Amen.
But in between times, in the meantime, peace.